Hi guys, it's Doctor Who time again. If you've been watching my previous Doctor Who videos, then you pretty much know that this is what's coming up next. And it's not going to be any surprise to know that Tom Baker is my all-time favorite Doctor Who. He was the one that I grew up with. He's the one that I knew, and he's the one that most embodied the character in all the aspects. Tom Baker did seem alien. Tom Baker was a very eccentric person in real life, and very different guy. And I'm a quirky, geeky, eccentric guy myself. I can't say I'm geeky and weird. If I had more money, I'd be eccentric. Yeah. Anyway, Tom Baker Tom Baker became Doctor Who back in 1974, and he took over from John Pertwee. Now, Barry Letts, who was the showrunner for during the John Pertwee era, had recommended Tom Baker. He had directed him in a play called The Millionaires, and this here is what cemented his chance for Doctor Who. The Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Basically, Tom Baker is an evil guy in this in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and this was the movie that got him the role of Doctor Who. He, at the time, he hadn't had a lot of money, and he had kind of like seminal success, but nothing had really like gotten him over the way that he wanted it to. There's a book audio called Who is Tom Baker? I highly recommend it. Before I go any farther into the Tom Baker thing, BFI Events, that's a British Film Institute, has a channel called BFI Events, and they're doing a whole bunch of Doctor Who. One's Caves event, Androzani, Erupts of Death events. So if you haven't seen those and you're a Doctor Who fan, I really suggest and recommend you go check them out. So John Pertwee was leaving, and again, it was up in the air who was going to play the Doctor. And different names were bandied about, but Letts' choice of Tom Baker was pretty much on the spot. And this would become who most people would know back in the day as the Doctor. Even today, if you watch The Simpsons, you'll see Tom Baker's Doctor Who drawn in there in little cameos every once in a while. He ran for 7 years as the Doctor, which is an incredible length of time. He went through different eras. He went through John Difford Turner, Hinchcliffe Holmes era. Heck, this was when Douglas Adams was helping to write Doctor Who. Douglas Adams actually left the series of Doctor Who because his new book, radio play, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, became famous at this time. And I'll be right back. I want to pick up something. Doctor Who, under the Tom Baker regime, had unarguably, without a question, the best writer, producer since, just ever. Although I love Letts and Dix, Holmes and Hinchcliffe did the greatest series of Doctor Who stories you can imagine. Hinchcliffe was a producer of Doctor Who from Tom Baker's Ark in Space episode, which is the second episode, right up to Towns of Wing Chang. And if you don't know those, I'm going to read off a list of the stuff that came out around that time. The Ark in Space, The Sontaran Experiment, Genesis of the Daleks, one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes of all time. Revenge of the Cybermen, Terror of the Zygons, another great. Planet of Evil, Pyramids of Mars, The Android Invasion, Brain of Morbius, Seeds of Doom, Mask of Mandragora, The Hand of Fear, Deadly Assassin, The Face of Evil, The Robots of Death, and the last, of course, The Towns of Wing Chang. Did I pronounce that right? Anyway, Tom Baker took the role in a different direction. When it first started out, he had Harry Sullivan and Sarah Jane were his two assistants, because they didn't know if he would be able to do the whole physical aspect of Doctor Who. But Tom is a very physical guy, and he didn't really, and some of the stuff he did in such a unique way that he often did not have to go with an overtly physical aspect, because he just owned the scenes that he was in, no matter what. It was hard to steal a scene from Tom Baker. He wouldn't let you, but mostly because he was that damn good. Now, it must be said right now, Tom Baker was one of those controversial guys, because near the end he really felt like he owned the character and he knew what was best for it. And people coming in often found that harsh, and thought that some of the stuff that he said and did was pretty harsh and unfair. And Tom is admitted to being like us, but kind of like difficult to work with. But I'll say right now, if you take a character and you bring him to that heights of popularity and become a huge household name, and embrace it to the way that Tom Baker embraced the character. He thought being Tom Baker was pretty boring, but being Doctor Who was pretty damn awesome. So he pretty much became the character of Doctor Who. Not in the method acting way, but just in the, it fit him like a second skin, like it's something he always should have done, and it comes across on the screen. So again, his first assistants were Sarah and Harry. Harry really didn't have a lot to do. Harry was played by Ian Marter, the late Ian Marter, who was a very big fan of Doctor Who, but he chose to lead the series, and he did work on doing a Target novelizations of Doctor Who series. He did make a comeback for an episode, and I'm sure if he had lasted, had not passed away, he would have came back in the new series as well. He was that much of a name for the show, and they all got along back in those days. Next up, his assistant was Layla, kind of like the cave girl assistant, and doorbell, be right back. Sadly, it was next door. I was hoping it was mail. And Layla was more of a physical character. Of course, K9 was introduced around this time, the robotic dog, would later come on to get his own series nowadays. It didn't last very long. He had a pod called K9 and Company with Sarah Jane Smith, the best companion ever, just saying. Romana, would be the first time a Time Lord would go with the Doctor. Maybe the only time Time Lord would be with the Doctor on a regular basis. Romana was played by two actresses, Mary Tam, who did it for the first season series, the Key of Time series, and in the last episode, serial actually, Layla Ward played a character called Princess Astra. Now, Mary Tam did not come back for the next series of Doctor Who, but the girl, Layla Ward, that kind of a blonde pixie of a girl who was amazing, looking at almost everything everything she was in. Every bit of clothes she could put her in, she was just looked incredible in it. One of those girls. And she took over the role of, it was a very unusual one, she took over the role of Romana. Romana actually regenerates. And it's shown Romana has actually a smarter Time Lord and a stronger character than the Doctor in a lot of places. So when she's regenerating, she regenerates 4 or 5 times until she actually takes the Princess Astra, the look of Princess Astra. So, and that's when you find out that Time Lords can actually take looks from other people that had never been mentioned before. A lot of things have not been mentioned before they can mention this. So, you know what? Right here, I'm going to stop the video right here because we're going to go to a second part with Tom Baker because he ran the longest. So these videos are going to run the longest. Tom Baker is my favorite Doctor Who. Let's talk about him some more.